I'm just gonna watch the replay now. Yeah, replay. Please work. Looks like it worked. Loading? Loading? Come on, you can do this. It's from today. Come on. Oh my god, it worked! Oh my god! I don't believe it! Alright guys, so what I'm doing now is I'm watching a replay and I'm going to spectate my lord and help him, basically, by being brutal. But I'm probably going to be nice. I'll still giving the same amount of critique that I should. So let's move all the way forward. Okay, so there was actually something happening here. Actually, not really. Okay, well, the first thing I'm going to say, my lord, is getting one multi-pot to start is really not enough. It won't give you enough sustain whatsoever, and I would actually recommend either placing a ward to start and then backing. Here, I'm gonna pause music. So I would recommend like placing the ward to start, then backing to get 3 health pots and 3 mana, or buy about 4 multi-pots, because this simply isn't enough, and you're gonna maybe get poked in lane a bit too much. I'm gonna go back to the mid camp because I didn't see exactly what happened, so I was looking at the ward thing. Basically, what should happen is you should just do your one on one of them. I missed it again. I think you just did an auto on each of them. I couldn't see because I was fast forwarding, but I'm not gonna rewind again for the sake of time. But you should use your one there just because, even though you lose a little bit of mana, you have Watcher's Gift, which gives you a bunch of regen, and the extra damage will help you do buffs faster. Like, it'll help Nox get to lane first and make you get to blue faster. Pulling this away is a safe strategy, but most people don't go there, so you didn't need to do that necessarily. And I'm going to go back and show something else. When you hogged right here, Apollo wasn't in range. He was a bit far away, so he didn't get the experience of the 2 minis, which means as soon as he gets to lane, he's going to be level 1 instead of level 2. So if you waited to hog till Apollo was in range, you'd take only a little bit more damage, but in return, Apollo would be tied with you in experience and be level 2 right now instead of level 1. And even though it doesn't seem like a big difference, it really is. Also, right here, your positioning is a bit too close. I know Apollo was there as well, but basically you shouldn't take poke from Ares in lane when the game starts. Maybe I shouldn't rewind. Maybe I should just slow down and pause and stuff. So, I also wish there was a rewind feature. That would be super nice. So, right here, this is the distance that you have to be from Ares, pretty much, just right outside the range of his chains. It'll go to about this far. So, you should try to stay that far away. Like, right here is where you get too close. You're in chains range, or at least very, very close to it. So, this is like the absolute closest you should ever get. And if you get any closer, even though he can't kill you, the poke on you is relevant. And I know Apollo is overextended as well. Also, as soon as he does his fire on you, if you dash away, you'll avoid a lot less damage. And if your health is, if you have multi-pots, and your health is lower than your mana, when you use mana pots, like the health will basically, or the mana will basically be wasted. So you can basically trade mana for health there, if that makes sense. So you shouldn't really take poke from Ares in the early game like that. That was a bit too aggressive. Here, the same thing. You have to be really careful because their dual lane's extremely aggressive. Also, the lack of potions here should really show how important it is to have potions to start. You didn't have dash at level 2? Well, that's still a problem. You should always start the game with your dash. It's just the highest damage on creeps at level 1. Oh yeah, you can see levels now. That's right. That's actually pretty cool. Yeah, bouncing for poke there is really good. Ares was a slightly better target, but since Anhur was lined up, that was fine. Again, if you're in right lane, you usually get pushed, but since Ares is such strong pressure, you should probably back out just a little bit. This is fine. Basically, you should focus the archers and not poke when you're under tower, for a couple reasons. You see, as soon as you stood under the pillar, basically. Is this the same thing? Did it go back enough? I don't remember. Oh, I didn't go forward enough. Okay. So, basically you should expect them to be able to poke you, Anhur and Ares especially. So, you don't need to stand here at all. A lot of people make this mistake. When the wave's coming to tower, if you stand here, the archers will actually target you before the tower, and it's really, really important for the archers to be on the tower and not on you. If you're taking damage here, that's really bad. It just puts you further and further behind in poke. Also, if you tag Anhur, then archers will be on you as well. Plus, you don't need to stand in range of Ares. Even if he gets 1 chain on you or 2 there, it's just not worth a poke. Laning phase at this point in Smite is really all about taking and avoiding poke, so all these little things can really help. Is there a way to align the minimap? No. It really sucks. I wish there was a feature in Spectator that made it so you saw this side as friendly, but you can't do that. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So again, here, you took about 4 shots from archers, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it really adds up. Like, that's like 50 damage that you didn't need to take or so. And granted, it's 50 damage, but every little bit matters. Also, it's really good to go in Ares here. That's really good. You should have also mezzed him to slow him, because if the support's making the mistake of tanking creeps, you'll win the trade no matter what. So you could have even gone up to mezz him, you could have even won him. So poking somebody when they're tanking the wave, as long as you know that you won't die, is an extremely efficient move. That Ares probably could have gotten to about 20 or 15% health if you had gone on him there, 100%. Also, a lot of people like to max their mez at this point, but I think maxing your 1 is better for wave clear. Having the CC duration this early doesn't really help. If anything, leaving it at rank 2 is fine, but past that, not really. Also, this is a mistake that a lot of supports do. If you're level 4 at mids, you're actually kind of useless. So being there, you kind of just want to give up mid harpies when that happens, because imagine if Anhur rotated as well. I know you had set on them, but like imagine if Nemesis was there, you'd be dead for sure there. When you're that low HP and not even level 5, don't go to mids. As a generalization, oh, see, like, Anhur rotated, so it's overstaying. There's nothing that you really should be doing at the mid harpies at this point in the game. So, even though it probably baits Anhur into something here, but regardless, I think you basically should never contest mid harpies unless you're level 5. The first set of harpies, that is. There are some exceptions, but I would right now say that as a generalization, don't contest mids unless you're 5. Also, if you're at like 1/4 health, or like you were, or like a third health, don't contest mids, because even if people won't be there, even if just Ares is there, you'll pretty much be dead alone. There's almost nothing that you can add in value because you're just there for a hog, and if you're there for a hog and they have more presence than you, they're gonna get the buffs anyway. So what you're doing by rotating in mids is zoning yourself from the wave on right, getting behind in experience, and not contributing anything to the mid fight. So those are good wards. If you're behind, a bottom ward is good. Not usually my favorite, but I understand why people do it. It's fine. I know it probably was a mistake because the creeps are moving there, but if you hit one of the smaller creeps, not only does it do AoE damage, but it actually does a little bit more damage than if you just bounce a single person. So it's a little bit more AoE efficient to bounce a smaller creep, even though I'm pretty sure it was a mistake, but in case you weren't aware, that's a thing. So, another mistake, again, really laning phase, and pretty much every point in the game as a support, is all about not taking poke, and even though you only took about 1-ish hit from each creep there, that's like 100 plus damage that you didn't need to take. You'd be at like 770 health if you didn't take that amount of damage, and it's really small, but tanking creep waves hurts a lot, even if it's just for a second. Also here you're playing a bit too far up, you basically should let Anhur push the wave. You didn't get too punished for that though, I guess. Also, you sold your Watcher's gift for Midas boots, is that right? I think you had Watchers to start, right? I actually didn't look at your build other than the potions, which is my fault, but regardless, you should never sell your starting item like this. I'll talk about the fight, then I'll talk about builds a little bit after. When you're really low health, also, you probably shouldn't try to go in like that. You get a really good ult up before you die, which is perfect, but I'll go back to the beginning of the fight, which is, I think more or less, you're trying to get stuff a bit too optimistically. Even if your ADC played that perfectly, the kill on Anhur couldn't have been there. And what you should be doing here is, if he hits you with almost any spear, it's not going to be worth the trade, so you should kind of let Apollo just poke him alone. By being up here, you're just taking so much free poke. And if you were going to go on him, you don't start with your 2, because he can react to it by jumping away, and you're just going to take 2 or 3 autos before you even get your 2 off, and then he's not even going to take damage afterwards. But if you started with your 1 or your mez, it guarantees Apollo can poke him, and then you can maybe follow up with an ult or something. But by doing your 2, you're going to do about 50 damage to him, and he can just jump afterwards, so the root value is almost irrelevant. Like, he jumped immediately after the root came out, because he knows that he can get value out of that. one thing you did well there, though, given that you were in the bad situation, you ulti to get as much damage off before you died, so that was a really, really good play. Also, that's a really good bait by Apollo and really good Thor everything. Even though it paid off, I think you could have been either a little bit more passive there, or try to take a little bit less poke. But a couple things happened by... What the heck? The backwards camera glitch. A couple things happened by selling Midas, or Watchers, that is. The first one is... Even though you're not always going to be in lane, optimally, Watcher's Gift gives 54 gold per minute, Midas gives 60. So if your ADC is getting every last hit, Watcher's Gift gives 54 gold per minute, which is only 6 less than Midas Boots, for only 800 gold compared to 1400 gold, or whatever, how much it costs, or 1800, whatever. It's just, you never want to sell Watchers for so long because it's almost as gold efficient as Midas, so you're giving up a lot of gold and a lot of sustain really early in the game, and a lot of health. It's really inefficient to sell early, and I would not sell Watcher's Gift until the about, I don't know, I would rough estimate, I would not sell Watcher's Gift till the 25-minute mark. So doing your one there was actually fine, it lets you get to the wave first, but it's really hard to initiate on Kumba. Kumba's one of the hardest gods to play, but the way you're initiating is not exactly optimal. So I'm going to go through this fight pretty slowly because it's important to know how to play as Kumba. More or less, what your goal is to go in, mez, and like you should almost always lead with your mesmerize, because that's how your teammates follow up with CC. And you should almost always do your one out of your mesmerize, because if you're just leading with Mez and you're not planning on ulting yet, because it guarantees that you hit it. So rooting here isn't that great, because then the entire wave is going to be on you, and Nox can do exactly 1-3 on Ares before she can't do anything else. So you root, and Nox is already pushing the wave. Also, I can't see VGS, but you should probably spam attack if you were doing that. And immediately out of this, you have to do your one, because it's Ares, he's going to cripple you right afterwards. So you need to use your one before you basically can't anymore. And if that was a good fight, that's what you should, but it's not, I don't know, it's not that great of a fight regardless. Mezzing here is actually really good. It lets Nox get really good CC and guarantees the slow. That was an extremely good mez. But you were a bit indecisive. You actually backed off when he was mezzed, which means you can't get more value, and then you went back in. So you missed a couple opportunities of auto attacks, or just doing your one, or kind of anything. I get that it could have been kind of to juke Isis, but that's okay. Also, if you look here, this is why Kumba's weak right now. He you gotta line up the ones on after the ult. Like basically, you can use your any one of these moves to line up your one, and if you do that, that's a lot better. Basically, this is why Kumba's weak right now. Even though it was a decently good initiate, Kumba's damage gets him to like 80% health, whereas other tanks would get him to like 60%. So Kumba's damage is really low at the moment. Also, maxing your mez this early is definitely too much. I would not max your mesmerize. I would certainly max your one. The damage is paid off. You could even level them at the same time, but you basically cannot have the damage. You're just gonna fall a little too far behind in team fights. This fight's gonna go really poorly as soon as Nem gets here. Yeah, it's a bit overcommitting. It's really hard to initiate on a Kumba, more or less. This is why this fight went bad. And if you're gonna initiate, doing something like a blink ulti. Wow, they really dropped the ball. They didn't really use anything there. Look, that Isis didn't ult through the entire time. I'm gonna fast forward till you're in a fight now. So what you should have done is probably go to lane. I get that you want a ward, but you probably shouldn't miss experience. Oh, it's so confusing being red. I actually got there in time. Never mind, that was fine.
Off you go.
Yeah, I was confused at first because I saw Anhur pushing the wave and I was like, Anhur is blue, he's on your team. Also, Apollo's doing a mistake here. You guys should not do blue while there's a wave pushing, because look, one creep already died in the wave, and another creep's, maybe not. Like, another creep might not die. But either way, you should just not miss any creeps like that. There's basically no reason to. Also, with the full wave, unless like you have a Thor in the air, you shouldn't go aggressive, because what's going to happen is they have a full wave coming, and you're either going to tank archers, or Apollo can't push up with you and you can't initiate. So if you want to initiate, it has to be when you have a wave there, or neither team has a wave. But since they have a wave, they're gonna certainly have a small advantage in the fight. See, if you had your Mez at like rank 2 there, the exact same situation would have happened. Getting it more than a few seconds isn't really great until late game, which is when you'd have it max regardless. Good Juku and Ares. This is an okay initiate, but since you don't have wards, it might be tough. You should ult immediately to mitigate damage and then run away, because the Nemesis would have poked you a lot, and you basically just had to wait for Thor there. So that was a really good play. You did not overstay there. That was fine. But ulting where you did was really good. One thing I want to note is you should really be aware of your positioning, because you're already a little bit behind in levels, but if you stand close, like, you need to expect Apollo to push, and you were a bit far from the wave, so I'm pretty sure you didn't get those archers. Maybe you did. Maybe I'm too used to the new map, but either way, make sure you don't get zoned from the archers. Now, doing that route there was really good because it makes Ares tank the full wave. Mez is really good as well, but now it's overstaying because people can be here. Nem's coming from behind. You knew Nem would be here. I think maybe I couldn't hear comms obviously or VGS, but I'm gonna guess that that's because Thor just straight up missed his ult and he called to go in, which is fine. So at this point, I would have gotten Blink for sure. You actually really need to back. Staying right now is really useless because you have no mana, so you can't contribute value to the fight. You're just basically going to be there for a punching bag at best. So, when you're as a support, you kind of need to back like immediately unless you have something like mana pots on you. Also, if you had Watcher's Gift right now, you'd be regenerating a lot more health and mana, and you'd probably be at about half mana right now if you had Watcher's Gift. And like you wouldn't have had to miss that wave. In addition to that, you know, all that kind of stuff. Also, immediately after Midas, the first buy needs to be Hog 3. What else is there? Yeah, one of the strengths of Kumba, though, is his Blink, like, Mez ult initiate. So, I would have gotten Blink right away, because that's his biggest value that he can ever add. Just blinking into mid, Mezzing, and then ulting. That's how you should be doing, playing this game right now. But given that you don't have Blink, I'll assume. Because right now, it's very likely that you could probably just, like, come over here, wait like here, blink Mez the Isis, and then channel your 2, then do your 1. Isis would be about like 70% health from you, and then Nox would have a guaranteed ult, then a very likely silence and likely 3s. Isis could almost die from that initiate alone. So having Blink is really key on Kumba. And while it's a sneaky gank in the duo lane that you tried there, you're missing a lot of experience. You went for on her instead of the wave, and missing even a few creeps makes it not worth. Especially if you're already this far behind. So since you don't have Blink, staying in dual lane is fine. But if you did have Blink, you could probably put pressure on the map. Again, you missed 3 archers there. You were just missing a lot of farm. Really good positioning. That was actually almost perfect positioning. So what you did, obviously, is you rooted on her, you expected the jump, and you went between him and where he was going to be. And you were ready to mess him afterwards, but you barely stood in the 3. But that was really good positioning, though. That's, if you want to initiate on a person that has a jump, that's the exact way to do it. Like, see, you're already running forward. That's really good positioning again. It's just that you have to expect him to, like, not jump in time or something, and then you can get it, so that's fine. Yeah, I know Ares is still behind the Kumba, but that being said, if he was farming efficiently, he could still be around level 11 or at least 10 right now for sure. Pretty sure you could be guaranteed level 11 right now. Also, as soon as Ares does his chains, if you have your Mez max, and you, I know you want to Mez his fire, but if you Mez his chains, it's actually more damage mitigated. Also, this is a really poor fight to take. It was a good ulti because you had to mitigate damage. That was like the best time you could have ultied. But it's not a good fight because you don't have people there and you didn't have wards. The only ward that you had was right here, and you didn't see anybody that's coming from right here. Like, Nemesis was here, Ares was here, you didn't have any wards, you couldn't see what was happening, and you basically can't initiate. If you don't have sight on the jungle, do not initiate without wards. That's gigantic. And if you're wondering the best ward spots, the best ward spot in my opinion is right here, because it sees up here and down here at the same time. which means if somebody comes from this way, you see it. If somebody comes from this way, you see it. And there's no other way to get to dual lane unless it's from here, in which case you see it without being on the map. You'll just see them coming, running down the lane. So I would try to ward here more often, and only initiate when that's the case. So one thing that I think is something to consider is sentries at this point. I know you're really far behind, so you pretty much can. Oh, you did get a sentry. Okay, never mind. I was looking down here and I'm like, where are the potions? There. Okay, never mind. I don't like this UI. Also, another thing that a lot of people do like that is preemptively use a move on the camp before they see that it's up or not. Okay, here's actually really good initiate potential. You actually went up instead of toward him, but he was so far overextended that you didn't have to do that. Really good mez. The mez was perfectly timed. The root was really good. You weren't at really fault for Thor death. Thor kind of just died on his own. What you did really well there is you waited for the mez until exactly his ult was over, which not only mitigates the most amount of damage on your teammates, but slows him like perfectly afterwards. That was a really good mez. I would have probably went in through this way to get on her, because you could have got to him faster and maybe helped out Thor sooner. But other than that, that was actually really good. Other than the initial positioning, that was just a really good play. Good positioning, good use of skills, good order, everything like that. That was really good. Again, here is where another potential situation where Blink would have had a lot of value. Because on combo, you can just Blink ult every 60 seconds, so that's really huge. Is there a way to follow somebody from, like, this angle? Like, what is this button? Toggle select a player? Oh. Also here, if you're going to do the back harpies, what you should do is you should punt one of these into the other one. Using your 2 is really inefficient because it's such low damage. And again, I would max my 1 on combo. Or at least max my 1 on my 3 at the same time. Upper says free cam. Assisted. Oh, the reason I don't like assisted is because when it's assisted, it shows it like facing this way. You can't turn it around at all. Like you can turn it around this much, but I want to see what you're looking at, and I don't want to... Oh well, this is fine. I'll just manually do it. It'll be a little bit clunky, but that's okay. So here's a really good initiate. You have 3 people here, so you should probably start with your mez, because it's... Okay, if you started with your mez there instead, sure, it won't interrupt his fire or anything, but it keeps him there for the entire duration, whereas Honor can just kind of jump away from the root. So I would try to lead with your mez a little bit more often. That ult was a bit unnecessary, because your teammates could have already damaged him, and you didn't need to mitigate damage. So by doing that ult, you made your own teammates stay there for a little bit longer. And here you're doing really good. You're blocking shots from Honor, just getting any auto attack values in you can, and mezzing at the right time, even getting the slow on her. Your peels here are really good. I would have actually gotten out a little bit sooner for sure. You could have been positioned, so that way after your moves were on cooldown, you could have been over here a little bit more. But other than that, you peeled for, what's his face? The Apollo really well. You probably could have gotten out a little bit sooner though.
Killing spree.
Dude.
Double kill.
So again, I'm not really... I guess it's okay if you want to fight Ares. But I think your teammates had that without you, and you just missed another full wave in lane. So even though I know you wanted to go to help Ares, your teammates were either going to get that or not with or without you. Like you wouldn't have really had an impact there, and you just missed. You're probably going to miss about 12 creeps here total. And I know you're going to help with speed, but missing creeps is something that really can't be done. Yeah, no problem, my lord. And you know this already, but I'm being, like, completely harsh on purpose, which is exactly the purpose of this, so... Even though I'm pointing out every misplay, it's, you know, it is what it is. Again, you missed about, like, 12 creeps on right again. And you probably could have been at least level 15 right now if you were farming super efficiently. So the biggest thing to take out of this by far is, other than not selling Watcher's Gift, is keep farming waves. Also, like, rotating mid there was okay, but if you did, you have to share a wave mid. If you rotate mid, see that you can't do anything, and don't share the wave, you will get so far behind in experience, and that's what's really going to hurt you. Sharing stuff like blue is really good. That was a good move. And now here, again, you don't have blink, so it's really tough to look for an initiate. And it's more efficient to share the wave than it is to solo the back harpies, because not only can the jungler do it faster, but it's just really efficient to share waves rather than just soloing the back harpies, because these could be done by somebody else, even if it wasn't faster. You just don't share the wave, and that's huge for experience. So that's why you're falling behind a little bit throughout the game. Wards seem... the amount of wards you're buying is actually pretty good. That's definitely good, but I would be trying to place them in probably more efficient spots. D wards are really good here and here. Regular wards are really good here, and like I said, exactly here. Now what you're doing now is really good. Again, try not to tank the archers, even though it's only a small amount of poke, it's just too much to really give up. Now here, as soon as you saw them, you probably should have forwarded a little bit. Really good initiate with the Mez, really good positioning here, that's really good. Wait. What? Aw, the Thor backed out. Well, you did really well there, though. That's a shame. Now you know you can't chase him, so that was a bit overextending in case somebody was there. I don't know if you had sight or not. It's really tough to see with wards, especially since the sides are flipped, but you probably pushed a little too far there, and even though you weren't able to be punished that time, just be aware, if you know that you can't go on somebody, don't try to just push up, because that's how you make risk more likely. Also, again, you backed right before a wave, and you probably didn't need to. You probably could have just held this while Apollo backed, and you're missing another full wave in duo lane. So you bought Witchblade here. It's actually a pretty good buy, considering a couple things. The way to juke Ares is obviously just to, well, juke his chains. How much money do you have? How do you see gold? Pocket gold. Real life nap? Oh, you were waiting for Shell 1? Or just... oh, you were thinking about the act. Okay, that's fine. What was I saying before that? Oh yeah, but Witchblade's actually a pretty good buy, because the only magic they have is Ares and Isis. And Isis isn't super high damage, and you can actually mitigate a lot of Ares damage by getting move speed, so that was pretty good. Going that path is smart, up from your base, because it lets you rotate to mid or right lane. And again, Blink here has so good value. If you had Blink, you could have gotten a guaranteed Mez off. And again, if you know that you can't get a strong initiate on the on-her, if you're just going to walk up to him like that, he's either going to back out completely because he knows that he can't live if he stays, or he's going to bait you guys into a bad fight, which is exactly what he did. And even though you killed on her, it would have just been better to back out, because you probably could have read that as a bait. But Witchblade was a smart buy here, because they have Nemesis, Osiris, and they just have physical characters, not magic. So that was a good buy. But on Kumba, I don't think he's viable at all if you don't get Blink. Maybe old Kumba with people not knowing how to play around him, but I just don't think you can afford Shell. Almost every support except Athena, my lord, I would practice getting Blink on, because most of the time it can work out a lot. Oh, so this is not really the best... I know you didn't ward here. Or no, yeah, you did. This isn't the best regular ward spot. It's a good D ward spot, though. Because if you ward in your top jungle, like if you ward the entrances here and here... I'm going to pause for a sec just to look at the map overall. So if you ward here, from right lane, nobody can come in to gank your mid. Like, you will know exactly, as soon as they pass into your jungle, if they pass through this ward then go around, you would have already seen them going down. So warding here is like the best spot ever for a normal ward. And same with here, because it sees here and here, sees if somebody's coming like from here and going across. There's no way that they can enter your jungle without you knowing if you have top wards. Defensive wards are better on, or counter wards are better on bottom for the same reason. If the enemy knows what entrances you guys are taking, they have an advantage. So if you deward them, it's like the same thing, but, you know, not giving the opponent an advantage instead of giving you the advantage. So So that's what I'd say for wards. I would ward basically those spots every time. This is a really good gold contention. This is pretty much what we have to do, just wait for people to go in. Again, lead with your mez more often, because it gives guaranteed value before they use their escapes. And wait for your moves to use your 1. You should basically be using your 2 to set up your ult, or your 3 to set up your ult, and then out of another move, use your 1 afterwards. Because by using your CCs immediately, like your mez, you get that instant value and slows them in case they use their jumps and escape moves. And by doing your 2, it gives them an opportunity to use their escapes. So I would try to lead more with basically anything but your 2. And here, just staying on gold is good. Pulling it toward your teammates is really good. You have a great position here. Now at this point, your team actually is kind of really sucking, so you have to reset gold. Your team actually sucks, dude. I'm sorry. They did nothing for you there. That should have been a completely 100% guaranteed free gold. And, you even stayed on it like you should have. But your team did nothing, so... Again, here, everybody has lifesteal, except you're low health, so yeah, passing it's good. That was a really good pass. Was your hog not up? I would have hogged that. I know you kind of want to defend fire, but there's no way they can really do it. And even saving your teammates about 10 seconds here is pretty helpful, so I certainly would have hogged that gold when it got low. And after this, even though they have low magic damage, you absolutely need a magic defense item. 100%. That should be your next buy. And perfect. That's exactly what you get. That's the correct buy. Even before getting and finishing shell. That's correct. And again, getting more wards. That's really good. Perfect buys. Perfect buys that back. Yeah, I'll probably do replays around this time tomorrow. Yes, prepaid. Again, sharing experience like this is really good. This is exactly what you should be doing. And try to do your 1 as soon as the buff spawns, so that way you can get the small creep bounce, because it's a little bit harder to once one of them is dead. So try to lead with that. It's just a little bit min-maxing that you could work on. Again, those 2 ward spots are really good. I don't know if that was you or your team. This one I actually like if it's up a little bit more, like exactly where the blue ward is, but for your team. But those 2 ward spots are really good. That's where you should be warding, basically.
Bye-bye.
Here staying is fine, it's only on her. So you should definitely lead with a mez, perfect. And then do your root as soon as he jumps, perfect. And then do your 1 immediately after. You should definitely do your 1. The damage of it is not irrelevant. And definitely try to make sure you can line up your ulti. If you did your 1 on the honor there, maybe I missed it. I don't know. It's really tough to see sometimes, but I don't think you did your 1, and if you did, he certainly would have been dead. Every little bit of damage that you can squeeze in matters, and doing it out of CC, like I said, is just the most efficient time. Again, it's fine to back. You're really low health. That's a fine back for sure. You couldn't really contribute much else to the fight, so that's fine. No need to watch your teammates. We can just skip forward to when you're in the next fight. Okay, let's see. So going into this fight, you have good positioning. This is very aggressive. This is the correct way to go in. And you should definitely lead with the Mez on the Isis. I don't like the root as much. The Mez gives a little bit more value. And, oh wow, they actually beads it. That's hilarious. And your teammates were really, really scared, so there's nothing you could do so you could back down. So that was fine. That should have been a good fight. You were in the correct position for that. That was very, very good. But your teammates really just kind of were too scared there. You definitely could have fought, 100%. Again, what? Okay. So kudos to the jukes, but you didn't need to put yourself there for any reason whatsoever. It was hilarious, though. Again, your 2 is like almost no damage. Right now it's doing 90. Your 1 would be doing 350 times 3. And you'd get more auto attacks in because you wouldn't be channeling your 2. I know it's a little bit more mana, but don't use your 2 to damage creeps. Just use your 1. It's so much better. And again, if you had Blink here, this would be a kill. But now it's not. Good try for an initiation. Something else that I've noticed in general this game, I haven't really been paying attention to it because I'm more focused on immediate positioning and tech. But again, getting blink would mean that you can sit in mid more often, and I can help with that next game you send me if you do get blink. But sitting in mid gives your team a lot more presence. Also, you don't really want to go on any tower ever if you don't have creeps. Not like this. And maybe if you had Emerald Talisman finish, that would be okay. But now it's definitely over aggressive. Because there's no way you're going to finish the tower without people coming. So let's see what you do here. Not sitting ice assault. It's good. Good shell timing. Good throw out. Now you should push in 100%. It's actually fine to initiate with your 2 there because you weren't quite in range for your 3. That is the time where initiating with your 2 is perfectly fine. That 2 wasn't bad. It was in case they stayed. That was fine. So pretty good there. Nothing really to say. Alright, let's skip to the next relevant part. So, I think you should have shared that speed with the Thor. Again, every bit of experience you can manage to find is important as a support who's really starved the whole game. Your team is... I would be so frustrated with this team, dude. You're like, do gold, and then your team's like, nah, man. Nah. Yeah, but that was certainly a free gold. And yeah, now they're on gold as well. It's good for you to contest this. You basically have to. Oh man. The steal. Nice, dude. Good mez. Good skill order. The ult really needed to be aimed better, though. Yeah, a better team could likely have punished you for that. Like, see how close Honor is now? If they were more aware or basically anything. Oh, also, you ran back in. You did not need to run back in. You were 100% out. Because you need to play around Ares ult and basically everything. Like, look, I'll replay that because you might know this from how seemingly obvious it might be, but look, right here, as soon as Honor pillars you and he doesn't get the impale, you are out. You did not need to run back in. You could have ran straight through that and you would have been 100% out. You were guaranteed out, like, no matter what. If you just kept running, there's no way you could have been killed. Going back in was definitely a greedy play. Your teammates can clean up, but even if you weren't there, the same thing would have happened, so... But he gotta go back in. He had to go back in. Oh, outplayed. Anyway, let's fast forward to the res time.
Killing spree.
And you're going straight to fire. That's fine. This is probably going to be quite a long game because people are not really being objective oriented here. If you're going to solo set, it's fine. It's in case fire is being done. So you can actually pretty much push up here. Worst case scenario, you just one and have to ult backwards. You can pretty much ward safely. One thing that you should not do though is you should pretty much ward exactly on top. So like you were here and warded here, but if somebody was here and the enemy ward was right next to your ward, he would just kill it instantly. However, if you were on top of your ward when you placed it, you could actually body block enemies from hitting that ward, still be safe, and get the enemy ward. So, it's a bit of a min-maxing thing you can do for wards. Just like stand on top of wards when you place them for sentries, if you're a support, because you'll be tanky enough to live against basically anything. And you just won't have risk. You got his beads. You need a one away right now, perfect. It actually could have been aimed a little bit better, but it was the correct one timing for sure. Make sure you're aiming your ones and ults like when you're doing it for an escape. Make sure you're aiming it like exactly backwards. Even if it takes like another second to line up or something, it still will be better most of the time. Just make sure you have your stuff lined up. Again, you're kind of having to initiate your team that is with a power ulti and such. Doing your 1 to mez there is okay, but you should really try to wait for multiple people to get your mez off. Also, as soon as Ice is ulted, you should have tried to run out of it because the longer you stay in it, the more damage you're going to take. And yeah, you're going to die there for it. So I'll break down that fight a little bit more since that was really in depth, and I'll look at it exactly from your perspective. So here, doing your 2 to initiate there, that's fine. Here, as soon as Apollo's in the air, you need to be pushing in like crazy, which you are. That's really good. Now, that, looking even there to the left for a second was indecisive. You should have just been pushing in for Apollo's target. Using your 1 there was a bit optimistic, because you only get 1 Mez target. And if you just waited for an AoE Mez, it would have been so much better, because all that's going to happen is like a half-second Mez, and maybe a slow, for a kill that couldn't have happened. And not only that, you waste your escape going in, which makes you squishy, relatively, and you don't have it for damage in case you needed it for that. So doing your 1 to initiate like that's not that great. Ulting there is fine, lets you get out. However, you decide to stay. Now what happened is you basically just blew a Kumba ult, an Apollo ult, and your whole team's not really completely in yet. They have their entire team there. Where's the 5th guy? Whatever, they have basically their entire team there. And it's not really a good fight. Oh yeah, he's in the air! He's in the air! He was in the air! I'm so dumb! I'm so dumb. Anyway, just by staying here, you not only are you grouping for AoE, but you're putting yourself in a position to die. And if you backed out there, you could have just waited for the next fight, since Kumba's ult was such a short cooldown. So I certainly would have waited. And here, you could just get out as well. Like, you ran into the Ice Assault even further, making it, like, the longer you stay in an Ice Assault, the worse it is. Because the more damage you take, the more it charges up. But if you got out right away, even if the same amount of damage was done to you afterwards, you still could have avoided a death because it would have been detonated with, like, less charge. So that was definitely a bit overcommitting. Yeah, they got fire, okay. Now it's just farm. Doing this is fine. Back harpies is really good for you at this point in the game, even though it takes forever, because you can't really push anywhere else safely alone. That's perfectly fine. Going with Chung is really good. Good farm, etc., etc. I would not contest gold here no matter what. What are you backing to get? Magi's? I don't know. I didn't pay attention if you had it finished or not. Well, now you have rank 3 shell Magi's. Like, I don't know. That, so whatever you bought there, if you finished an item I didn't see, it was worth, because everything would have been worth finishing. Here you should basically only contest Phoenixes. If you're fighting under a tower, you're going to certainly lose a fight. Also, you need to have all 5 people here, like, immediately, so maybe even give up this Phoenix. You could try a desperation play here. Either way, it's, like I said, desperation play, so it'll be extremely tough to have anything really happen. They just let him off. You need to get out immediately because you were just kind of too far. Yeah, not much else to say about that. They're a fire giant. They're gigantic. They're bigger than you. And the only way you can win a fight is under Phoenix. What you did good here is you actually pushed up out of range of multi-Ares ult. Did not pop your Magi's. That's good. As you see, you'll move up a little bit as soon as he blinks, which is really good positioning. But then you stay and you move up to like here and be indecisive. There's no way you can initiate, and you just want to fight under Phoenix. If you're out of Phoenix and fighting, when they have fire, and they're ahead, you're going to lose the fight. Like, here your positioning is fine. There's no way they can initiate on you. You're perfectly safe. You're out of range for a multi-Ares ult, and now you stay. As soon as that ult comes out, you need to run backwards. Because these people are not going in Phoenix. There's no way that your teammates can die. Nothing can really happen. Just run back under Phoenix and turtle there. That's how you win the game when the enemy team misfire. So as soon as you get an M ulti, you need to ult somebody or else you're going to die. And nothing really happens there. I think that was just overextending and not enough reaction time. And that's probably game. Wow, how... They should be able to get Phoenixes, like, 100%. And probably end. Yeah, okay. Alright, cool. Biggest thing at first was selling watchers. Don't do that till like 25 minutes as a general rule. You can use it to... The earliest you should sell your watchers, the earliest, is to finish an item after your sovereignty. You should not sell it before you finish sovereignty. In live, I mean on PTS it might be different, because you're not even getting that in, but on live, don't sell watchers before you finish Sov, and after that, only sell it if you can, it'll help you finish an item. Afterwards, make sure you do not miss waves in lane, and if you rotate to mid ever, soak the wave before you leave. You just missed a lot of experience there. Your positioning in fights was actually pretty good. The sequencing of your skills in fights could have been better. again, like, probably initiate with your mez. Again, Kumba's really hard just because he's Kumba and not really good at the moment, but I would initiate with your mez a little bit more. Expect people to react to your root because they will every single time, and doing the mez gives immediate value, and doing the root after they've used their jump is just completely better. So that's what I would have changed to that match. Hopefully it helped. Missing creeps is just gigantic. Oops.